here we go. Well, today I'm joined by Joshua James Bailey. Josh is the brain health evangelist, and he's one of the, would you say, co-founders of
I'd love to be a
Braintap?
co-founder, but I have helped get investors. But I did the brand for Braintap for Dr. Patrick Porter.
I love that.
Yes.
So you did the brand for it, which is an amazing brand, I must say. So first thing, Josh, do you like Josh or Joshua?
Josh is great.
Josh
but
is
I
great.
love that Joshua James Bailey because it's that Old Testament,
whole
New
thing.
Testament Irish flair right there.
Ooh.
But yes, Josh is just a
No, if you
great
say it like that, I want Joshua James Bailey. Give me the whole thing, please. So the first thing I want to know is, I feel like every person has a story or a reason why they get into the health, wellness, the impact field. I would love you could just take a moment, just give us a little bit of your origin story, how you got into all of this.
The origin story. Okay, Marvel and DC, you have nothing on this.
Not at all.
I was brought up as a traditional business owner, entrepreneur with my family. It was cattle ranches, construction, boat dealerships, gun stores, restaurants, interior design, ranches, that typical stuff. And it was very traditional. And then I was struggling with my family to figure out, why did we lose so much money? We make so much money. We had 6 planes we were renting out. We had all the Corvettes and the motorhomes and the cabins, and Dad's a scuba diving instructor because he wants to be. It was awesome. And then we lost a lot of money in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was like, pinching, like hoping you survive. So I went to the corporate world, and that's where I had a nice journey with an end in mind, which is to get out of corporate, but figure out, how did these guys become billion-dollar companies? And my mission was, as quick as possible, be a newlywed, get some benefits, go get some education for free. And I went to University of Phoenix Apollo Group, which blessed my life. AT&T blessed my life. I have never really had a bad exit, and I have something called happy exits we might talk about later. And so that led me to a startup software company because I wanted to get one of those things where you get stock and stuff.
Right.
And I got to this place where they had Xboxes and, big theater rooms and lots of parties on Fridays, and it was great. And it was a software company. That's where, when I broke off to do my own stuff in 2009, they had given me free access to all this expensive software. They gave me 2 months pay to go start to be like a certified guy where they could throw me good business. And in the meantime, while I was in corporate, I did that side hustle.
Gotcha.
I had a film company we had like Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, one of them has passed away, as our spokespeople. We had film companies that spent lots of money and lost lots of money. Tried to be a real estate guru, lots of money. Didn't know what I was doing, just kept going. So now my wife says, you either go full-time corporate or you do your own thing. She says, if we have to live with mom and dad, so be it. Luckily, we never had to, but she supported me. I left corporate with the blessing of this software company. First clients that year, I still work with to this day.
Amazing.
And one of them was Braintap, but it was a whole different shape and form. And I am sad to say this, but I didn't even try the product until we launched a new brand, a new app, way in 2014 and 15, 16. And then I think before I got him on stage with Dave Ramsey and Gary Vaynerchuk, I was going to launch it to businesses instead of just the clinics. He had like 3,000 clinics for addiction and things like that. And I'm like, I should probably try this thing before I put my name on it and everything.
Right.
And that was where I was like, okay, brain health. So origin story comes from business,
Right.
but it changed my life doing brain entrainment and some of this brain fitness, we call it, that I started journeying into the world of biohacking and wellness and regenerative healing because of Dr. Patrick K. Porter. And he started opening doors with Jim Quick and with Dave Asprey and with Amen and all these different kinds of gurus out there, and Bruce Lipton's and Joe Dispenzas, and like all that is new to me as a construction guy, right? At the heart of our family.
Right.
And we're fight all the time, and I didn't know what it meant to relax. So that origin story is really tied to that mental health and wellness.
Right.
And when I was going, and maybe a lot of guys out there and other entrepreneurs can get this, we fight. And when someone said relax, man, you need to relax. Like to me, that was like, oh, like lower the tone, like be not so aggressive. But when I did Braintap, it wasn't called Braintap at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so relax is actually a physiological feeling, and I can think better. And this was a whole new world to me. And unfortunately, part of the mission is better billion brains, because most of the industrialized world does not know how to actually relax, and let alone meditate. Even the best meditators only meditate because they're in the business of it. Right. It's freaking tough.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's a long origin story, but now you've got ammo. You can like hit me on all fronts. And from there, I'm 100% healing people and all I do is invest in my time, money, and energy and connections into healing people. It's
I,
all health and wellness.
I love that. I mean, one, it's a powerful story because you've lived it by example. And to see that you come from these families of entrepreneurs, and then now you have failed and came back until you found really what I would say your niche seems to be in connecting, bringing the right people together, having a big impact through health and wellness. I'm curious with what you're doing now in terms of the family office structure and finding the right opportunities. I'm curious around who are the types of people that you're connecting with, that you're finding are actually interested in these types of topics and utilizing health and wellness as a means not to only help the world, but also to have that financial benefit as well.
Oh yeah, it's crazy because they're coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you've got CEOs that are just run down and they're starting to kind of see what's happening with cold plunging and infrared therapies and pulse therapies, frequency therapies, like, and just to give Braintap, tie this in, is I use it as a hub and as a rally point. And I know there's lots of brain training and lots of brain things out there. Like neurofeedback I love, but it's a lot of time, effort, and cost.
Right.
There is this testing device, and I'm going to tie back into the product and people. We do it at these events as well and in clinics. It's a Russian nervous system test. Tests your stress levels for astronauts. And so we've been able to apply it. It's a 4-minute test in the front end, a 4-minute test in the back end, and in between you can put hydrogen, water, pulse electromagnetic field work. You can put in Braintap, Braintap with hydrogen or not hydrogen, and you start seeing what happens to the nervous system in real time, to where you can now put them side by side and see all of these different results from the urine shape. You probably know anabolic, catabolic rates. Are they in fat burn or not? Are they in autonomic nervous system, health, or maybe less optimal? I don't try to say anything negative, but a little less optimal. And we'll do those scans here at this type of event. I'd love to scan you.
Absolutely.
So with that scan device, what happens is I get to get in front of people. Literally on a plane, I've been sitting with the CEO next to me. It's a 4.5-hour flight. I try not to talk as much. I know I can talk a lot, okay? But I try to sleep and do Braintap and other things on the plane. But we get to know some people, and I have it in my backpack. And I'm like, well, do you want to see what your stress levels are right now? And we literally put these clips on them. We're doing a pulse analysis using heart math and heart rate variability, using ECG collection, and it's just on my laptop. We do a Braintap session on the plane, and then I do a post, and then the dude's like, wow. So this is an example of me high touch with a CEO. But there's so many of them dabbling.
Right.
Then once they dabble and they go, wow, I'm getting results. What I summarize, if I get a hold of them right away and they're like, yes, help me, I'm like, I'm going to help you just like the oxygen mask, okay? And when I help you, we're going to then think about who are the most stressed and the people in your life you love the most that are having a hard time. Mom, spouse, kid, autism, person with a stroke, mentor. Who is it? And let's figure out how to help them. And then who's your next closest family that's extended? Your employees. Cousins, yes, but employees, that's your family, man. These guys spend, most of them, more time with you than they do with their own family. And some of them, unfortunately, don't even have siblings, don't even have family. And so they get their world rocked when things don't go right at the workplace. So I work at top level, and they see the monetization to where we say, hey, why don't we make, instead of a crap gym, let's make a smart gym using a Carol bike, an ARX system. Let's use some other things like OsteoStrong that can reverse, osteoporosis. And then these guys will say, yeah, let's do that. Well, let's make a healthy break room. Let's get rid of that crap, we won't name brands, but let's get rid of this crap sugary chocolate. Let's get rid of this crap coffee. Let's put some nice alkaline coffee, or even better yet, adaptogen-rich, cacao mixes, and we'll put some hydrogen water in here. And all of a sudden, these employees are going to start saying, wow, I'm losing weight. Wow, I quit smoking. And with Braintap is a huge one, because it moves the needle. It helps them sleep, digest, rest, right? Like that rest and digest. Right. It helps create more GABA in the gut from increased gamma production. So that's the dopamines and serotonins and feel-good drugs. So if they were suicidal, we may never know. But at least Braintap, they can, on their own, in the privacy of their own home, their car, or break room, search depression, anxiety, stress, suicide, PTSD. For me, anger, addiction. I don't want anger and addictions. And so I'll do those on my own. I don't have to tell anybody that I'm weak or have a weak point. I can still, I have no problem in the world. But really, I'm on my app. It's all run on mobile apps. So all of that leads to what I say to the guys. One, you're going to have partners. let's say you have 20,000 employees or you have 200 employees. We're going to show them how to do research and development tax credits using scan devices like that, internal and external. We could bring medical professionals in and show them how to do R&D. It could be a call center, commercial collections. Hopefully this won't go to the wrong people. They'll take advantage of this, but we're working with call centers that never did R&D, and we'll show them how to do it in a medical sense under the HR wellness umbrellas.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then you've got the ability to have channel partners. So if they set it up right in that break room with a QR code for each machine and modality, use our corporate discount for your friends and family, 30, 50% off. Dude, I'm lucky. I don't have to sit there and worry about the percentages. I just tell people get percentages. So if I could push these manufacturers to work on corporate deals with higher percentages than they normally give, then we'll figure it out. I want them, if they give 10, give 30. If they give 30, give 50.
Right.
So that they're encouraged to have an army of marketers sitting there. Imagine 1,000 people. And they have what I call a happy exit. Whether they're there or not, they're giving that code to their friends and saying, I love this freaking hydrogen stuff. You should try it. And I get a corporate discount. Then we kick back a small percentage to the corporation. They could do what they want with it, but I have the stats on the hotel industry before the pandemic, the scamdemic. It was, it's 70% turnover rate.
Wow.
For employees in the typical hotel.
Super high.
What if we were able to get them education and things that move the needle, things that made them feel better, digest better, lose weight, sleep better, and they just go share it. Then if they have their codes and they say, you can use this for the life, don't worry, even if you go out and do something cooler, you can use this. Well, now we're seeing that in real time. The residual subscriptions coming back to the companies, and a few of them I've been testing at Sotheby's, is going into a perpetual health fund that they set up. And they can structure it with our CFO guys and financial gurus on how to make that perpetuate past the life of us for generations to come. So they're able to grant a guy a hip replacement, something's going on, somebody's really, fighting cancer. So if anybody's visual and you just see these CEOs leading the way, leading the charge in this world where we have shared health tactics and things that work, we put it in the company. We put it in the company with a Zen Den, recovery rooms, Oasis, whatever it is. It could be 10 by 10. It could be, 5,000 square feet on 5 floors of a big building. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's truly incredible because I see the structure that you're creating for these companies, the owners, the CEOs, all the way down to the employees. And it's actually creating a very strong top-down model. Because for me and my philosophy, it all starts at the top, especially when we're talking about corporate wellness, corporate well-being. And by you being able to really tap in with these CEOs and show them like, hey, actually try this for yourself first, see if you see the impact of it. And then once they do it shows this whole cascading effect to bring it all the way down to the employees, which I think is amazing. I'm curious, when it comes to working with corporations and getting them bought into this, because one, I just think the regular collective consciousness isn't about taking health, wellness, and optimization to this high of a level. In the way that you talk about bringing in the best coffees, the molecular hydrogen water, all of the best things into the company. Most companies don't want to give a small stipend for $50 a month, a gym, nothing. So what are you finding in just the psychology of these individuals at the high level who are saying yes to bring this into their company?
That's a good question. And I hope you understood some of the stuff I said. It's newer to a lot of people, and sometimes my brain's racing and I can see it, but sometimes it's hard to show. The idea is the bottom line. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If I show them where the money's at, then it's awesome, right? So one, how are they getting more hours out of their day? Number two, how are they getting more productivity in the day? How are we lowering the healthcare costs? How are we able to not have so many people out sick and injured and all that? It's not even how, we track it. It's, a company that is a little bit more advanced, you have startup, and then you have small business. A small business is still considered under 150 employees.
Right.
But once we get into that 2,000 level, 1,000, 2,005 and above, we call that a managed business, not enterprise. Enterprise, we get into that 10,000 plus, employees. Usually it's around 50,000 plus enterprise. But we're into a managed business, meaning they're not so much a family-run business anymore, which is tough to get out of. And then they've got CEOs managing, directors managing, VPs managing, but they also are putting great systems in place. So have you ever been in the corporate world?
Very short time.
Very short
when
time.
I first
Okay.
got out of college, realized it wasn't for me and got out of there.
Good for you. So,
Yeah.
I think again for me it was very strategic, which I would encourage people to do. But don't go because you think you got to go.
Right.
But in the corporate world, what I did learn was how to run matrix.
Okay.
Right, a matrix, and what are all these quantitative pieces that help us move the needle with each employee, each division, each department based on your SWOTs and your SMARTs. And you're familiar with those acronyms, maybe, but if the viewers, it's your strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and your strategic, marketable, or measurable, attainable, and realistic and time-bound goals. And so we get to figure out how do these companies plan and how do they grow and where's all this strategy. Inside these managed companies, where the money is at is they already have a matrix in place. So we can see how many calls, how many this, and how many that, and who's sick. So out of like 5,000 employees, let's see how many have the least amount of sick time, who's missed the most amount of days. All of a sudden we implement, and I just go to Braintap. Start with Braintap because you have the testing device that quantifies everything, and it's very easy to implement. And then you have the actual device, and if they don't have the device, they can use the app with their headphones. So we literally have gone in time and time again, including Google. They haven't implemented what I want. I want it to be branded all over Alphabet, called the Google Brain Break, and stuff like that. But we've done things with Google and Alphabet at the YouTube AdWords department with the most stressed managers, Sotheby's, different groups. All the time, there's so many I don't even know about. But what we've been able to do is say, hey, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and we'll go and work with their database. And all of a sudden we'll see, okay, now that we've gone 90 days, let's compare this to your last 3 to 5 years. So we're taking the top performers and all these people and saying, based on these 90 days, how many, based on these years, have taken less sick days? And we just prove it. Just like, look, like this group had all these guys that have been employees for 5 years, had these many sick days in a 90-day period, these many call-ins, this time they're late, because they're all like punching in on their phone. Everything is tracked.
Right.
We can see how many days they punched in late for a minute. We can see how many they took a longer lunch break. We can then quantify how much their performance is based on time spent and where they spend their time.
Gotcha.
So when we start implementing Braintap, they're thinking faster, they're thinking more positive, they're not complaining as much. So over years is where I want to see the data. Like, hey man, 3 years, look at this. We've 10x'd your company just because we've helped overall performance and hiring, training, hire, training, and firing according to your mission more properly. By having that ingrained in the head too.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You can show a company the bottom line and see that thing is doing better. They're typically going to be into it,
and that's not including the new partnerships that come. I mentioned earlier, where they start seeing money coming back because of an actual thought through. Launch it. So don't just give them benefits. Give them benefits with a way to share the benefits. And then we show them, hey, here's a typical detox center and how they share it. Here's a typical, small business and how their employees share it. Now, our leverage, you and I, when we're talking to larger companies, it's harder to work with them. But we do get to say, you're missing out, and you should have FOMO, because these small, nimble businesses are giving better benefits under 150 employees than you are at these huge corporate levels.
Wow.
Yeah, your 401k looks nice. Yeah, this stock option plan is great. But when it comes to the health, you guys, it's really lacking.
Absolutely.
And these guys are killing it. And then we show them examples of what these smaller businesses are doing to keep a culture of health running. I mean, culture of health. We want to kind of revisit that.
No, I love that. I love that because the culture of health, I think, is something that's shifted more to be something that's important today than maybe it was in, we'll just call it, pre-2020, right? And what are you finding in terms of like these cultures that are being built? How is it helping those companies produce better over the long term? I know we talked about things like productivity and less time sick and things like that, but what are the aspects that maybe are a little bit above that, just in terms of what the employers are saying from their standpoint of how they're enjoying all of this?
Well, we've luckily, you said you didn't say a name, but let's just say the scamdemic. Since 2020, the good things that came out of that is awareness. I mean, I had no idea myself that I could make hypochlorous acid in a bottle out of water, and it's good for acne and eczema and kills COVID and kills like salmonella, all these baddies out there, these really bad viruses and bacteria. I have stuff that's safe to put in my eyes and actually help conjunctivitis. Like, that's amazing. So we get to show corporations these cool things. So now we have a lot more real-time data that they don't have to be an expert or have not had to go research it. They've just heard about it. You heard of COVID, right? Okay, we kill it with hypochlorous acid. Don't go get alcohol and bleach. And then when you get this to your employees and they go see how easy it is to use and how awesome it is, QR code has a little video. Find out why hypochlorous acid is awesome for you. There's gonna be the people on their own in their break room. What the hell is this? And all of a sudden, like, whoa, is it cool? And they start sharing it. It's virality because it's health and wellness. But we also have the data of just throwing out who do we know who has dementia. And when I'm talking to an exec, they're gonna know somebody.
Right.
Who do we know in our circle that has a concussion, a TBI, cognitive issues, and because of COVID, right? Even before COVID, we had concussions. And on top of COVID, the last, 4 to 5 years have been bringing to light all the craziness associated with the concussions that we've had.
Right.
And how when we had a concussion, it wasn't like it just healed.
Right.
For decades, it may not have actually healed, and your brain has created new ways of operating. But we can now get that brain back to homeostasis and actually heal and create the pathways it's supposed to have. And so over time, these high-performance execs and athletes are going, whoa, there's so much more data on concussions. Maybe that's why I've got all these challenges. They go look into it, and they're like, holy crap, a lot of this is just tied to my brain, whether that's a nerve issue, a neuropathy issue, whether it's an autoimmune disorder or challenge, right? And so on top of COVID is a conversation piece where who has long tail COVID and any cognitive issues. They're like, oh, not me, but my partner does, right? I get texts literally almost every day. It's usually 5 to 6 days a week. Josh, you need to get with this guy. He's some high-level attorney. He's in the hospital. He needs this, because they know I can get access to that.
Right.
Imagine you, me, times 1,000 of us, even at this conference. All it takes is 10 more people. They start sharing it with 10 more people. Before you know it, a year later, you're getting calls for hypochlorous acid. How do I get a sprayer?
Right.
So I hope that helps kind of give a larger view of if I summarize, conversation pieces are easy to happen today.
Right.
If I say COVID, they don't have to go Google anything. They've been hearing it for 3 years.
Right.
Right? They've been hearing about the brain issues. They've been hearing about the tiredness. They've been hearing about all that crap. On top of our regular conversations that were already around concussion, performance, anxiety, tiredness, PTSD, all of our overstimulation with the phones and tablets, EMF, everybody's hearing it. If you're not hearing it, it's because you're just zoned in or under a shell. The zoned in, I give them props. You know, they're in there tinkering with their devices and making their world, and maybe they just don't watch the news. Other than that, almost everybody over 25 has heard of this kind of stuff.
No, 100%. And it's powerful because what I love about it is that you're actually creating solutions. I mean, that's what's number one. I think I find that one of my pet peeves can be just complaining about problems without bringing any type of solution or suggestion to the forefront. What I love about what you're doing is you're taking action and you're creating a lot of health here. Something that I'm so passionate about is food, nutrition, diet. And when I heard that Thrive, and I would love for you to actually speak into what Thrive is and how you all work. And please just let us know about this soil to spoon movement and how you're going to be impacting how people eat better for the rest of their lives.
Oh, man. That's probably the most exciting thing that I can die with right now to my grave. I can work on this project. I mean, I do have a mission to just disrupt healthcare systems in a good way, to revolutionize corporate wellness and better a billion brains, which I stole from Braintap. And if I cussed, I'd be like, oh my, I would be so pumped up and like letting them rip right now, because I think a lot of us are hearing, remember, in addition to what we just talked about, and you had said, what are the results? Okay, people, these high-level executives are sleeping better when they're implementing new, technologies and things that help them in biologics. But this whole thing of I'm going to go buy a cucumber and it says organic, nothing's telling me if it's coming from soil with heavy metal. Nothing's telling me if it was nutritious. What is happening is people are coming out saying, we're testing this soil and it's nutrient dead. And there's nothing good in this soil.
Right.
Yeah, it's organic according to whatever organic standards they're meeting.
Right.
So we're going a whole nother level, at a high level that most viewers might not know, but they can Google stuff like this. Like Delos, great company, they created something that kind of went above a LEED certification.
Okay.
So when you have a LEED certification, it means the building has like sustainable materials and things like that. It was a really good it is a high level certification for building. Right. And they came in and they're like, well, let's have a wellness approach to a building. And they created things like in the Four Seasons and other really nice hotels called the Stay Well. And everybody has to correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know everything off the top of my hand, but I do know they're in some of the best resorts ever best hotels, and it's a whole floor dedicated with ozonated water, like low EMF stuff. I mean, good. Their premise, if you go to their website, it's air quality, water quality,
Love
right?
that.
And it's this wellness aspect. So they created what's called like well-certified workplace, well-certified building, wellness. And again, I'm not the expert at it, but I was intrigued and inspired by how they went this next level of certifying. So Thrive is a certification, not going to be. We already have 22 products under, and we're already full force. We literally have guys meeting the farmers at where they're at, churches, gatherings, and they're saying, here's free testing kits. Let us come out and show you the beauty of this. We're going to decrease their cost. We're going to decrease the time to get to harvest, and we're going to make their plants better. And it's using no pesticides and no chemically derived types of fertilizers.
Okay.
And so the soil to spoon movement, right, that we're calling the Thrive movement, we have different petals, we call it. And if you go to thryv.love, thrive.love, and the Y is for you. There's just too many THRIVEs out there not doing good stuff. So
sure.
the Thrive U is also a play on one of our mineral products that we have over 1 billion in mineral assets that we deploy very creatively. And this mineral is called Lytra with a Y. Lytra.
Okay.
.co. And so in this movement, we've got powerhouse leaders, okay, in vertical farming, farms, science and technologies. And so we can trace back both ways. In business, you might find this intriguing like I do, right? You can go to a nutrient product here, and there's some really cool ones here. And so at this conference we're at. And so I can say, cool, let's see if we can Thrive certify you. In order to say it's a Thrive certified supplement or biologic, we would trace that back all the way to the sources.
Okay.
And what came organically and not, and what kinds of things are in those, and we would test it and then say, good, there's nothing bad and it's Thrive certified. Back to our friend the cucumber. We go over to the farmer on the base end of the soil. So we went top down to the source. Now we go to the source as the primary place that we're playing. So that's the easiest. We go and in 3 weeks or less make crap soil that could have heavy metals, glyphosates, no nutrition, and we can get out the glyphosates, get out the heavy metals, and make it nutrient dense in 3 weeks or less. And we do that.
3 weeks, wow.
And there's different companies out there that we hope to buy a lot of them. Ours is called Geoserum.
Geoserum, okay.
Geoserum. So you can go to geoserum.com. And even on the Thrive site, we break down Lytra and Geo there where you can go to those products as well. And the Geoserum is a mix of different manufacturers. We're always going to test. If someone can do it better, great. We'd be idiots not to use it. If it's cheaper or same price and better, we should always do that. I learned that in the SEO days for outsourcing. So the Geoserum is going to come in, and it's a mix of these. I think it's 5 things. Let's count them. So we've got bacteria and fungi, okay? Our minerals, which are over 100 bioavailable minerals from ancient seabed with like dead fish and dead shrimp and stuff like that. So it's better than a rock, the source. And then we get fulvic and humic acid.
Okay.
And that humic and fulvic comes from our coal partners. We're bringing back the love of coal, man. It's gotten such a bad rap. We can use the entire coal, the whole thing. And it's good for skin, good for the body, that fulvic and humic acid. But we're putting that into the geoserums that we spray onto these places. So we've got guys out there doing drone footage with the infrared. There's another thermography, and we're testing the plants with their hormones and the soils. Those 3 areas we test and show them real time what we treated versus what they're doing.
Wow.
And that's where we convert them, like Christianity, like like a religion. Like we're going to convert these guys, and they're like now they're evangelists. They come in, and then we replace all the other crap that they had. It's very disruptive. I hope that I'm not going too soon where I get too much attention from the wrong people. But
right. Well, that's what I was just thinking about. Well, I was just going to ask, maybe not to that extent, but we have a lot of entities out there, companies who would probably not want what you're doing. So I'm curious, how do you make sure that you're able to continue to thrive, no pun intended, and make sure that this movement keeps on moving?
Well, first off, we want to play good with everybody.
Yeah.
So if we can forge good partnerships with these different larger companies out there, and they want to say, hey, we either want to buy what you have, we want to do what you have, we want to squash what you have, whatever the case might be. I mean, let's heal that executive and that board member and that whole board, and then let's see what we can do to all profit from it. I think at the end of the day, they need to make sure there's profits.
Right.
However good intended they are or aren't, they need to make sure that they're protecting their assets, and I totally get it. I'm a business owner too. So let's find ways to play, number one. So I'm not too concerned, because if they just know me, then cool. Tell me how to play.
Gotcha.
Tell me how to play. Let's just help humanity thrive. And
100%.
if you think there's a better way or there's a more controlled way that we should work with so we don't, piss you off, let's play with the right logistics and supply chains and sources as best we can.
Yeah, well, I think it's smart to collaborate in that way, right? There's no point of having conflict if there's no room for it, there's no need for it. And I'd be curious to understand what percentage of, say, just bigger companies or bigger farming entities, however you would describe it, what percentage of them do you find are willing to play ball or at least have the conversation?
Small farmers all the time.
Mhm.
Larger farmers, they have a lot more to think about,
Right.
especially subsidies and taxes and all these other
Mhm.
things and partners and long-time partners and loyalty partners. So it's a little easier on the small or sometimes the out of country. So a lot of like the partners out of the country are very excited to work with new technologies in the U.S. companies because they're not just U.S. based; they're based all over.
Right.
They got to supply everywhere. So that's kind of the gamut. The large companies, great if they're outside. Larger ones here, a little bit tougher. I was going to say, just do the best we can and forget the rest. I think T. Harv Eker said that.
Oh, say that one more time. I like that quote. I've heard that before.
Do your best and forget the rest. That was from T. Harv Eker. That was
Do
fun.
your best and forget the rest.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. And it rhymes too.
And I would say we are doing our best, but we also, my family office guys are connected to people that are giving us input that are on boards of Pfizer's and Merck that want to do good,
Okay.
right? They're playing the game the way they should in their respective fields, but
Right.
we do get input from them, and we also get input from executives that are from the biggest companies, from Cisco to Oracle, Adobe, and Google as well. So I mean, we do try to take in as much possible from the top of these larger, huge national, global entities
Right.
that we can incorporate into our strategies.
I love that. And then the last thing I want to wrap up with, because I'm fairly new to like the understanding of family offices and how those works and all of that. And I'm curious for Thrive is it Unicorn Labs? That is the family office.
Unicorn Labs is someone we collaborate with, and they do investing as well. And
Gotcha.
they do family office work. Ours is the kind of a front-facing movement is Thrive.
It's Thrive. Okay.
And there's no product to sell. We look to partner. We look to joint venture. And we do different deployments, but we also go to groups. So if you had an investment or a moonshot product, I see some here that are like, ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
We can see if we can get them into something we all benefit from on my end. And if not, we can at least start getting them to other areas. And when it comes down to it, I don't know how a lot of them are running.
Okay.
Our family office and those we like to work with, we have these two phrases: participation and reciprocation. It's one phrase, I guess, but two words. It's kind of more of a phraseology. We're going to participate and we're going to reciprocate.
I like that.
If people aren't going to reciprocate, they weed themselves out. But it's like, I want you in my negative emotional and relationship bank account. I want you in negative to me. And if you go, wait, no, I want you in the negative to me. Great, we're on the right track, because we're going to constantly be trying to fight to give each other and serve each other what we
Right.
can. Is that help?
That's very helpful. No, I think that's very helpful. And I'm curious, is Thrive looking for, have you found any projects that are looking to plug this community gap? And let me tell you what I mean by that. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that we have right now is this idea that community online is true community in itself. It might be an unpopular take, but I feel like proximity is needed for true community. And I'm wondering, has Thrive or any of the people that you partner with started looking at projects that are geared towards in proximity communities, bringing people together?
Absolutely. I mean, the shirt I'm wearing right now is what we're co-founder of the family office invested in this company, and that's what brought me to them, and that's what got me acquired into that whole
Okay.
group. And I created this brand with some guys called Unicorn Universe, and the idea was, how do we get people to play in new circles and new worlds? So there's like a wealth world, and there's a health world, and there's the access. So Unicorn Access, they do these amazing pop-ups. They'll either do their own, or they'll pop on, like, for example, we got a big polo event coming up in the 1st of November, where we join forces with a guy named AC Caswell. He's an old NFL guy. I don't want to say old. That might. He's very in shape. He's just previous NFL guy, and he has amazing charities and a group called $1 Million Mingles. And so we put it around events, and so it's like a 50 by 50 wellness tent,
Okay.
where we do activations and create the proximity-based, real-time connecting, real-time get results. Right, do a cold plunge there, do Braintap, do all these things, and bring in the wealthy individuals coming in from out of town for these polo events, but we do them for like F1 coming up. We do them for NFL with Lee Steinberg and Ace, and we have our own activations, red carpets. We have another group with another family office because we try to find disrupting family offices. We try to barter and trade with other family offices. We try to help people join forces and create what they call a multi-family office, which is trying to get to the benefit of 10 or 20 people might join forces in creating their own entity, which would be a multi-family office. We have a Jetson Capital event around that one where we get a big hangar and we bring in just lots of people interested in 2 tracks is what we're targeting. Doesn't mean it always works. The track is make sure the generational wealth keeps making money. So
sure, that's
right,
important.
it needs to keep growing.
Right.
And the second, which we look for as being equally important, if not sometimes more important, is what does our wealth do for the world when we're out of here? That's the point of generational wealth.
Legacy.
Family office is the generational wealth groups. They're 50 million in deployable assets on average, 250 million on average assets, and you know Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's like the kind of top big groups out there for a family fund. But yeah, it's what are we leaving as a legacy? So for us, Thrive is one of our legacies. Thrive certifications, Thrive certified produce, Thrive certified wellness centers, Thrive certified biologics, Thrive certified technologies. But yeah, play with us as much as you want or as little as you want.
Well, I appreciate this time. I think this is amazing just to learn all about you. And where can everyone listening, how can they contact you? How can they learn more about you? What if they want to play with you? What can they do?
If they want to do live events, they should connect with unicornuniverse.io.
Okay.
They have a phenomenal process where you can do for free. Dude, I love the days where I was bootstrapping and I'm like, man, if I could just get some free coaching, if I could get just a little bit of help without spending so much money. So they do an hour of like high level, listen, figure out who you were, who you are, where you want to be and who you want to be. And they figure out how they can help you and connect you. And they call that like connecting the rainbow. So I'm the shortest guy there. There's like 7 of us partners and founders, and they're all like 6'4". One of them is 7'4" or something. We call them our Viking unicorn. We're like bringing unicorns and gold rainbows and stuff back to Vikings. And so these guys will help you get connected. And on the site, if you get in there, they'll start pushing out those invites to where you can connect. And they have an online format where you get in, and similar to CEO Space and Alliances and things, where you get in and you can do these top of the rainbow conversations you get to chime in on that facilitate prior to the proximity in-person events that you connect at. As far as Thrive, it's THRYV.love. That's it, thrive.love. And we should have something for unicorn on there as well. And we have Lytra. Lytra is, again, a mineral similar to, liken it to stevia. Oh, it has stevia, somewhat of a better sweetener, or monk fruit or something. We want as many products as possible, tea bags to biologics and topicals, to have what we want on there says Lytra. Right, powered by Lytra inside, and that means that product has 100+ trace minerals. And we've actually got a churro product, a cold pressed honey product. We've got juice products that have it. So even though I might eat a donut, I'd be like, at least I'm getting all my magnesium and my minerals and my niacin, right? So we want everybody to play with the minerals because it helps on the brain, helps with sleep, helps with recovery, helps with blood flow.
I love it. I love it.
Lytra.
So many good things. Lytra, Thrive, Braintap, and I'm sure there's literally dozens and dozens of other ones. Joshua James Bailey, this was amazing. And can people find you on social media or anything like that?
Yeah, I think if they use that first name from the intro, Joshua James Bailey, and they should find me on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Perfect. Y'all make sure you go check him out. This has been amazing. Thank you, brother. I appreciate what you're up to.